I joined the Army because I was drafted, but at that time, everybody was very much supportive of the war effort. I was a sergeant, a buck sergeant, they call it, because it's the lowest grade of sergeant. I think some people have the misconception that the only people that go into the armed services, and particularly the Army, are incapable of doing anything better. And that is not true. There's actually a good life, an opportunity to mature, find out what you'd really like to do, and come out a better person for it. First, we reported to Lancaster, and they took us by bus from Lancaster to Buffalo to the Ellicott Square building, where we were sworn in at that time, and we were taken to the railway station, put aboard trains, and went to Camp Upton, New Jersey, and went to Fort Benning, Georgia, where we underwent our basic training, learning to be soldiers. When they shut the STP program down, they sent us all to the 94th Infantry Division in Camp McCain, Mississippi. Then they pulled us out of there as a group, sent us all to San Antonio, Texas, to Fort Sam Houston, where we were trained to be military police. Then from there we went to New York City, boarded the Queen Mary, went to Scotland, from Scotland to England, across the Channel to France, on into Germany, ending up in Munich. Queen Mary was the most luxurious of the ocean liners at that time, and they had transformed it into a troop ship. That was quite an experience. Our group was involved in seeing to it that supplies were transported, convoys directed through from the seacoast all the way to where the fighting was going on. I saw some things that were devastating as far as destruction of homes, of businesses, of factories. We bombed the dickens out of the Germans. When we see pictures of the effects of hurricanes in this country and elsewhere, that's nothing compared to what our bombers did. They just flattened everything. Sometimes you'd go through an area and the only thing standing in the whole large city or a town would be a statue. If you had any feeling at all for people that had lived in those areas, it was heart-wrenching. Dachau was not too far from Munich, and so we, as a group, went there to visit it, see what had happened. They brought prisoners in boxcars, stuffed full of people. Individuals were taken off those boxcars, told that they were going to have showers, get cleaned up, be issued clean clothing, etc. And in many cases, they were taken in bare naked, everybody together. They closed the doors, and instead of getting showers, they were gassed. Then they were actually taken from there and put in ovens and burned. That didn't happen to all of them. Many of them were put to work. Bodies were stacked up. They couldn't identify who was who. They simply dug a big hole and pushed them in with a bulldozer. A community of Dachau, they claimed to know nothing about the concentration camp. How that could be, I don't know. There was one stack from this crematorium that must have gone up 40 feet in the air or more that dispelled the gases from it. And I can't imagine that they couldn't smell it. This was the Holocaust. The Holocaust is real. I know it because I saw it.
How did the German people treat you like once the war was over?
Most of them were frightened of us. They didn't have food. A lot of them didn't have enough food. They would come and take our garbage and eat that. I remember one time a woman came into our police station reporting that her son, who was a member of the SS, was hiding in her attic. She was turning him in so that she could gain favor with us to get food. Terrible. You just can't imagine how desperate people can be. We see it right now when people are coming up and through Mexico trying to get here. The desperation they have, they don't have food. They come from places where they're not wanted. So you have to feel for them. There are cultural differences and you have to get accustomed to them. You have to accept them and make friends with them. I've had a very happy life. I'm very fortunate to have been married for 66 years before my wife passed away. And at this point, I'm extremely fortunate to have my daughter living with me to help me through my everyday life. We live in a wonderful country. I think that we need to be respectful of our flag, of our national anthem, and realize that people have died to keep this country free. I'm not a hero. I'm just a person that got caught up in this thing. The real heroes are the ones that actually came under fire, that gave their lives. And we need to be respectful of that.